Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about why you're burned out. So most research on burnout has actually been done in this field of corporate. That's where the word comes from. But if you're watching this video and you feel constantly tired, emotionally disconnected and numb, even though your life on paper seems fine, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's your job's fault. My goal with this video is to shed some light on what burnout actually is, what is happening in your body and mind, and to help destigmatize the topic a little bit so we can all learn to take better care of ourselves and of each other. I know what burnout is not from theory alone. There's been a time in my life when I cried at night every single day for no apparent reason and had such an overwhelming anxiety that no amount of ashwagandha was helping me. Today, I help my coaching clients move through these stressful moments with knowledge and gentle support that I wish I had 8 years ago. I'm going to share with you the mechanism of burnout, which consists of 6 potential reasons that I've identified, and I've structured the content in a way of how my own thinking process works. We will go from the lower planes of existence, which is your physical body and what's happening to it, to the mind level where the emotions and identity live, and to the soul level, because if I didn't include the spirituality here, it wouldn't be me. So let's start with the mechanism of burnout. Reason number 1 is chronic sympathetic activation. You see, your nervous system has 2 main modes. It's fight or flight, which is sympathetic system, and rest and digest, or parasympathetic. The problem with most of us is that we live stuck in the first one. We're constantly alert, even when there is no immediate danger. So we basically live as if the tiger never leaves the room. We're surrounded by constant notifications, social media, rushing, multitasking, and they all tell our body that it's not safe yet. So over time, that constant alertness drains your energy, floods your body with stress hormones, which makes you feel exhausted even if you've slept 9 hours. Reason number 2 is attention overextension. So most people think burnout has to do with time. I don't have enough time. But it's actually about attention. Think of a typical day when you wake up, you check your messages immediately, you scroll through feeds, and then when you start working, you jump between different tasks. And by noon, your brain has processed more stimuli than your grandparents did in a week. This fragmentation keeps your mind in a loop of unfinished cycles. Cognitive science tells us that every time we switch between tasks, our brain loses efficiency. It takes it a little bit to get back into the same level of attention, and it also produces micro-stress responses in your body. It's like imagine having 37 browser tabs open simultaneously, all auto-refreshing in the back and draining your battery. You might be sitting still in your office or even lying down on your couch with your partner, but your brain is running a marathon. Eventually, you either have a massive brain fog or your computer crashes. Reason number 3 is emotional suppression, or the weight of unfelt feelings. So we cannot talk about burnout without mentioning Drs. Emily and Amelia Nagoski, the authors of the book Burnout: The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. The reason their book was so groundbreaking is because they introduced this idea that burnout is not a mental failure, but a physiological process. They write that emotions are actually neurological, meaning they literally live in your body, and they follow a natural beginning, middle, and end. They also give us this metaphor that emotions are like tunnels, and you have to go all the way through to get to the light at the end. Burnout happens when we get stuck somewhere in the middle, dealing with a particularly difficult family member, or running into your ex all the time. Modern life gives us plenty of triggers, but rarely gives us a resolution. That feeling of I'm safe. So the body keeps holding the stress response open, your cortisol stays elevated, it creates a chronic inflammation and fatigue, and over time that suppresses immune system and also blunts your dopamine. For that very same reason, it's easy to confuse burnout with depression. So think of it this way. Every time you swallow your anger, every time you fake a smile or say, I'm fine, when you're not, your body stores that unfinished energy as tension. To come out on the other side of the tunnel, you have to move through these emotions. And the best advice that Drs. Nagoski give us is to literally get moving. Exercise, dancing, walking, shaking, or even gentle stretching, any kind of movement that increases your heart rate and then allows it to naturally calm down, signals to your body that it's safe to rest. Physical activity discharges adrenaline and cortisol, and they're the same chemicals that the body releases when facing danger. So completing that loop tells your nervous system to return to safety and to rest. It could also be crying it out, which brings that sense of calm and release. Or the opposite, laughing with your loved ones, which brings the nervous system back into balance. Reason number 4, identity roles that require performing. So many people who have a so-called good life on paper still burn out because they're not living from their authentic truth, but from societal roles. Maybe it's being the perfect employee of the month, or a good mom, a loving daughter, the one who always holds it together. Those roles aren't inherently bad, but if you unconsciously use them as a protective mask or to earn approval, that might be creating an emotional distance from your real self. You can never hold a performance for too long. Remember, it will always inevitably suffocate your authentic self and make it want to rebel. Reason number 5 is living in internal contradiction. So burnout often hides in that subtle tension between what you know is right for you and what you actually keep doing. Maybe you know that this job, this city, or this relationship doesn't fit anymore, but the fear of uncertainty feels bigger than the cost of staying. Living in that inner contradiction creates deep cognitive dissonance, and saying yes when your whole being screams no could be one of the reasons that you're burned out. Over time, your body experiences it as a depletion because the lack of integrity actually takes a lot of energy. The more you betray what you know deep down, the more drained you feel. And the opposite, alignment, actually generates energy. And the final reason number 6 is the spiritual reason, and that's when the soul is asking for a change. That's the level most people don't talk about. Sometimes burnout isn't actually about your job, your habits, or even your hormones, but about a deeper calling that you've been ignoring for too long. You see, when your higher self is trying to evolve, it keeps sending you these subtle messages. But if you ignore it, if you keep playing small and clinging until it feels safe, the result will always be an existential fatigue. That's this quiet ache of meaninglessness, like nothing even matters anymore, even though your life looks fine on paper. So that's the gap between who you've become and who you know you're meant to be. Real recovery begins when you start listening to that voice again. And how do you start listening? Well, first you have to regulate your nervous system and close the stress cycle that we talked about before. You find your way back to your point 0, or a sense of the overall well-being and peace. I'll share some of my favorite and very basic mindfulness practices that I use with my coaching clients. They sound simple, but consistency is what rewires your nervous system and resets your energy baseline. So practice number 1 is just a simple body scan meditation. What it does is reconnecting your awareness to the body and helping complete that stress cycle. I like to do it before I go to bed, just, without judgment, simply observing how your body feels and where you might be holding tension. Practice number 2 is mindful walking. It's this kind of gentle movement that doesn't generate high cortisol but helps metabolize stress hormones. You can look around and notice buildings, trees. I like to look at dogs, and that kind of sensory awareness grounds your nervous system. Practice number 3 is gratitude. So just think of 3 things you're grateful for at the end of the day. You've heard it before, but it does work. It activates your brain's reward circuitry and helps shift your focus from threat to safety, from negativity to something positive. And the practice number 4 is journaling. What it does is it helps integrate emotion and logic. And if for some reason physical exercise isn't available to you, but you need to complete the cycle of anger and frustration, expressive writing could actually help lower physiological stress markers. I hope you found this video helpful. I also created a free quiz to help you identify your level of burnout and hopefully address it early on. You can find it in the description box below. Just remember, we live in such a turbulent world, surrounded by constant stimulation, social media, social comparison, which creates low-grade chronic stress. That means you can absolutely feel burned out even if your life is good on paper. It doesn't mean there is anything wrong with you, and maybe burnout is actually a silent messenger reminding you to be more gentle on yourself. I'll see you in the next one.